everyone. I'm back with another video, and today's topic that I would like to talk about is about vulnerability. So, vulnerability. What do we think of when we hear this word? We think of maybe a weakness. The word vulnerable is like in a fragile state, um, sensitive. They're vulnerable. Someone or something that is easily broken, maybe, or in a state of like can break. Um, what I would like to do today is kind of see what we can do to shift our mindset, to change the perspective, to help us expand, our awareness. So, and grow, right? So, pretty much, nothing has a meaning but the meaning that you put to it. So, vulnerability is one of those words where I feel like always had like a negative connotation where people maybe saw it as more of a bad thing or weakness than something good. So what I would like to see if we can do is maybe shift that mindset and see how can we change how we see that word. So, for instance, instead of as a weakness, maybe a strength, right? Someone being vulnerable, um, I feel is actually someone courageous. It takes true strength to be vulnerable, to express maybe your weakness, to express something that wasn't, I guess, good. But again, I just want us to be able to be aware of the meaning we put on something and try to put it in something that can serve us instead of something that gives us a negative feeling. So, me doing this video today is a sign of vulnerability because I'm putting myself out there on things that I don't feel like I'm 100% confident speaking to everybody or speaking on video. But again, what I would like for us to do is just to see how can we be more vulnerable. How can we maybe go within ourselves and see how can we maybe find those things that we once thought were weakness or we thought were fragile or something that we just didn't want to look at, and maybe be vulnerable enough, or in the new context, brave enough, courageous enough, strong enough to face those things that were considered weakness. And what I mean about being courageous is because it does take strength and courage to go in within and acknowledge what we consider those weak points. Nobody wants to look within and face, you know, those things, because then we're acknowledging maybe what we felt, what maybe someone had pointed out to us before, and we don't want to face that we are in a vulnerable state. So I invite you to maybe take some time out of your day to do this. Be brave enough and say, how can I look at this weakness and how can I change it to maybe a mindset of a strength? How can I see what I thought was a weakness and actually see it as a strength? How can I see it as something that is helping me be stronger? Because if you think about it, in reality, a lot of our weakness and mistakes actually help us be stronger, right? We grow from that. And it all just, it starts with awareness. But we have to practice awareness first and identifying those things. And then we can use it to our advantage, whether learn from it or just like I said, shift that mindset and say, you know what, I don't see that as a weakness no more. I see that as that was actually a strength of mine, but I didn't know how to use it as a tool. And now that I'm learning that I have this, I'm gonna learn to lean on that more as a tool to grow and change things up. So again, that's just something that I was just called to share. Just to have that strength to look within, be vulnerable with yourself, and just see how we can change these perspectives. Because if we can do that with one thing, we can do that with many things. And I would like to just share like an example for me, a time that I found myself being vulnerable, which then turned into courageous, was I heard a video about control, about how someone was doing something for the outcome of it. And I mean, we're all guilty of that, right? We're human. We're all guilty of that. And, we do things, say things, plan things because we expect a certain outcome. And if we don't get that outcome, we get disappointed, right? But, that's life. We can plan as much as we can and just keep our fingers crossed that, these things are going to plan out exactly how we saw them in our mind. But if they don't, we also have to be okay with that. And where I was like being vulnerable was like, well, I never thought of myself as a person who wanted control or was controlling. But when they were describing, like, well, how we act when we don't get what we want, like we're upset or we thought like we were going to get this outcome or we're expecting a certain outcome because we did certain things, and we're not happy and we're disappointed because logically we're thinking, how is that possible? Like I did everything that was, I guess, expected to get a certain outcome and it didn't happen. And I'll get upset and I'll get, anxious and frustrated and things like that. But now, it's a strength of mine. I've turned it around to make it a strength of mine to do what I want to do because how it makes me feel, not for the outcome. Now, if I get a good outcome out of it, great. That's just, I guess, the cherry on top. But what was really the price was the feeling of doing it. And, to this day now, my favorite quotes all revolve around control. There's so many, but, basically they just kind of just say, we can't, control things or anyone or circumstances or events, but we can control how we react to them. And that is true. So, the worst thing can happen, but only you can control how you let that affect you. So that's one way, one example of how, I was being vulnerable and acknowledging that I was guilty of that. And, there's just so many vulnerability traits out there that, we have. And I think that we have the opportunity to flip the mindset and the meaning on it to help us, just to get that awareness and get tools under our belt to just be better and happier people. So that's what I was called today to talk about, and hopefully this will help you in your daily lives. And there's no limit on how many you can flip. Take one, work on it, and then maybe find another one. We have many opportunities. Okay, well, I'm going to leave you with that for today. Thank you for watching my video, for those who are watching, and I will be back. Bye.